In this intense matchup between Bastard München and Italy's Ubers, the time has finally come. With the game tied at 2-2 and the next goal being match point, the community has theorized and hoped for so many different ending outcomes, from Isagi Yoichi scoring a super goal to even Barou securing another hat trick. In today's video, I'm going to be taking a look at and explaining some outcomes that I want to happen or think will, as well as taking a look at some of your predictions from both my YouTube community tab and my personal Discord. Please make sure that you're subscribed to the channel if you enjoy the type of content I push out, and please enjoy the video. Now first and foremost, before we could even take a look at who will be scoring the winning goal, drop a comment below with what team you think will be winning this game. With both the teams and individual players having a lot at stake in this game, there's really so many different ways the author could take this. Firstly, with a Bastard München win, this would obviously leave BM going into their final matchup undefeated, just as PXG will arrive to face them. With this obviously being the most anticipated Neo-Egoist League matchup, this storyline of undefeated champions facing off would most definitely flow well with the community. Moving on to the second possibility of the Ubers winning the game, this would actually serve so many different purposes for a lot of reasons. Obviously, when facing their first defeat, this would present Bastard München with many options such as making substitutions, changing formations, or maybe having a formal talk about teamwork before the next game. Anyways, this would also serve as a great time for Isagi to possibly face some long-awaited defeat, just prior to his big game against Rin. It's not like Isagi's mentality is lacking in any way right now, but to be completely honest, maybe he's getting a bit too egotistical, talking about some "I'm not world class yet." Of course you weren't, Isagi! Anyways, with that talk out of the way on what team will win, let's dive into the topic of who specifically will score the finishing goal. Obviously, first and foremost, one of the more likely goal scorers to finish this game out is none other than our main character here, Isagi Yoichi. As we saw in the 230 leaks and scans, which if you haven't seen, spoiler warning, Hiori has now been subbed out onto the field. Wanting someone who can interject new ideas on the field? A game changer. Isagi urged Noah to sub in Hiori instead of Kiori Jin. Even though being firstly denied, Hiori managed to convince Noah by explaining the benefits of his possible substitution. He can both see and understand the game at the same level as Isagi, which would both reduce the amount of thinking he has to do, as well as increasing his brace speed. Finally, Noah did agree to this substitution while only making one condition with them. If they fail, then they're both off of the regulars. Now not only does Hiori's substitution with the obvious intent of assisting Isagi make his goal very likely, but the conditions that Noah set up for them also add a lot. If they fail, then both Isagi and Hiori won't start in the game against PXG, which we obviously all know will not be happening. Or will it? We'll talk about that later though. Also, with an Isagi goal here, he'll go into the PXG game with the absolute most confidence, as he would both become the victor in his rivalry with Kaiser, as well as against the king of Ubers, Barou. Now some people may think that it's too early for Isagi to go this crazy, but in defense of my man Isagi here, in our real life time, it has been years. He has only bagged one new Egoist League goal so far as well, and he's our protagonist working to be the world's best striker. I think I'm giving our man Isagi here a 50% chance of scoring, as we'll now move on to his so-called buddy. Would you all be excited or would you be disappointed if Hiori scores? Well, in my opinion, I think it's an absolutely amazing possibility, and he definitely has the skill set to make it happen. Now Hiori firstly is definitely more of a playmaker belonging on the wings or as a side back, as his amazing arsenal of skills fits him perfectly in for assist. Cool-headed vision, amazing ball control, and an almost eagle-eye understanding of the field. Everything so far has pointed towards Hiori obviously assisting Isagi's goal. The thing is though, do you really think that an assist is enough to satisfy the egoist that Blue Lock created? Hiori's abilities and skills not only remind me of Itoshi Rin and Sai, but even Sendo believed the same thing about his passes, as in the U20 game, he pointed out the similarity between Hiori and Sai's passes. Unless the occurrence of a formation change happens, which is pretty likely, Hiori will be subbing into Noah's former position of a right side back. Now obviously specializing in long range crosses and things of that nature, it's not very likely that Hiori will be put in a position to score much, but it's always a possibility. Working his way up the wing while matching up with Isagi's tempo, I have a possible scenario that he could score that the community would be screaming over. As Hiori once explained to Isagi while trying to explain his reflexes, it's kinda like a game of Tetris. Once you initiate a play and ease into it, everything starts off slow, and you have time to plan all of your moves. By the end, however, things are just moving so fast and you have no time to think about it, which it's in these moments that the best will shine through. Only the best can process all of the incoming information at high speed, while simultaneously acting on the best course of action purely by reflex. With Hiori explaining the sensation of reflexive action almost perfectly, Just imagine a situation where Isagi is expecting a final pass to his feet, just as he did with Corona. Receiving the ball just barely outside of the box, however, Hiori would instinctively send in a Toshirin level curve shot into the top left net, winning the game 3-2 without even realizing it. Just as Isagi once felt dipping into the state of flow at first, Hiori would be so entranced into the game, so reliant on moving by reflex, that his full potential as a striker would even seep through. Just as a finishing detail here, this would also then continue forth the rivalry of Isagi and Kaiser going into the PXG match, as well as securing both Hiori and Isagi spots on the regulars. Now my estimated chance for the GOAT Hiori to score here is probably about 25%, because while it would be an amazing plot, the author seems to be obviously hinting towards an assist to Isagi rather than a goal in himself. You never know what this man is cooking though, so let's just wait and find out. Now moving on to an Ubers player who could potentially win his team this game, who other than the king himself, Barou. I mean, what can I really say, guys? A hat trick against FC Barca to then score another hat trick against Bastard München. Totally should happen. On a real note though, my first point for this topic derives from one of the first pages of the Bastard München vs Ubers match. With the commentators getting the crowd and viewers hyped while talking about the match, there are 3 specific possibilities that they mention, which 2 of 3 have come true. They speculated on if Isagi would score his first goal, if Kaiser would score a super goal, and with those 2 out of 3 checked, they also wondered if Barou would score another hat trick. Don't even let me cook, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to the Blue Lock commentators. Anyways, another reason that a Barou hat trick would be fitting is that if it would just serve to deepen the rage in Isagi and he and Barou's rivalry. As we've all pretty much expected, Barou will more than likely be joining the U20 World Cup ARC team as either a starting player or just one of the reserves. I'll have a video out soon going more into the U20 World Cup team, however just for right now, Barou's value skyrocketing with an amazing 2-game 6-goal streak would solidify his spot for sure. This would also demand even more results from Isagi as a striker in his upcoming challenges and games, which would match perfectly with the anyone is the protagonist theme that the series is heading towards. My main prediction for a Barou goal wouldn't come from his own skill alone, however, as I believe that Ness would just take the blame for every side of this situation. Possibly causing a mistake via his jealousy leading to the final goal for Barou, this would not only soften the intensity of a second hat-trick, but it would also serve to keep Isagi and Hiori their spot on the regulars, assuming they cook leading up to this. Isagi could be humbled a little prior to the PXG game, and all around, the plot path being followed would be amazing for the story and character's development. With my 3 top picks out of the way, let's take a look at some of your personal theories from my comment section and community Discord. The first fan theory that we're going to be looking at today comes from Aldair BQ over my community Discord. He says that Bastard München will obviously go on to attack with the Hiori and Isagi combo, leading into a final pass from Hiori. Before Isagi can score, however, Lorenzo will enter his flow state and come out of nowhere to stop them, then leading into a counter from the Ubers. With the ball reaching a thoroughly marked Barou, Gagamaru even comes out of the goal a bit to crowd him further, before Barou makes a pass to Sendo. Yeah, you guys heard me right. Someone else in this world actually wants Sendo to have use. With the ball then being chained from Lorenzo finally to Nico, he believes that Nico will then get a tap-in on the poorly positioned BM defense, which then ends the game with his revenge on Isagi from the first selection. Now there are a few cool things in here that I really do want to see happen, however the likelihood of Isagi losing in a way like this just isn't very high. Things however such as Lorenzo's flow state and defensive Hiori coverage, Sendo usage, and more Gagamaru spotlight are all excellent ideas though. Lorenzo's flow state especially is something that I want to be spotlighted, because maybe Hiori's passes can even ascend the reach of this zombie float, making his impressive showing all the better. Also, the fact of Nico scoring the finisher I think would be an excellent callback if it happened, but boys, do we really think that Nico is dethroning Isagi from his regular spot? Moving on to another Discord theory before hopping over to my YouTube peeps, my homie Akashi knows that he is a massive Barou glazer. Even with that fact, he doesn't really see the king scoring another goal due to Hiori's substitution, as he and Isagi will definitely be cooking with something similar to Planet Hotline. The thing is though, instead of Hiori or Isagi scoring the winning goal, Akashi actually believes that the reforming emo himself, Kunigami Rensuke, will score the finisher. Now although Kunigami hasn't really done much this game, I think it's important to look at his past performances in the NEL, as he so far hasn't been hyped up to be much. His first goal was a dime assist from Isagi, his second was a poke shot from right inside of the box, and I even believe this trend will continue into this match. The reason for this is that Kunigami's comeback is destined to be versus Shido in the PXG match, which would be exactly what the fanbase has been wanting. I guess it's possible for him to score a goal here and in the PXG match, but I really am just expecting for him to be low-key for a little until his upcoming moment. Going on to the next two community theories, we're going to be taking a look over at you guys in the YouTube comments. The homie MacB with the raccoon profile picture says that it's in his realm of believed possibility for Hiori to actually assist Kaiser if he's even given an opportunity to do so. This would then still prove Hiori's value to Noah, which is what he demanded, therefore he and Isagi would still not be benched. Now we've talked about this before on the channel, but a Hiori assist to Kaiser would be devastating for Isagi. Literally handpicking him out of the players and putting his regular spot on the line for his goal. If Hiori doesn't focus purely on helping Isagi, then bro just might never trust again. A potential way that I can see this playing out is if Ness does truly go and do something pathetic, leading to a goal scoring opportunity being lost for Isagi. Just before the ball would be overturned, however, Hiori would swoop in and reflexively pass the ball to the only available person, which would be none other than Michael Kaiser. The more and more I've thought about this possibility, the less I'd want it to happen due to poor Isagi's goal. However, once again, it would be a plotline that I wouldn't hate at all. Finally, moving on to our last theory of the video, I have a pretty interesting one to share with you guys. From someone whose name that I can't pronounce, so I'm sorry about that, they can actually see Isagi failing here, being a likely possibility. He would then ride the bench at the start of the PXG game, where he would then likely be subbed in later on to clutch up for his team. Now I've been thinking about this possibility ever since the leak dropped for 230, and I have to say, I would not be opposed to this happening. Now the only possible way I can see Isagi and Hiori failing per se, would be at the hands of a flow state or metavision using Don Lorenzo, or like I said, maybe a mistake from their own team. The only problem with this theory, however, is that Isagi and Hiori are both having their regular positions put on the line, so this outcome would actually be detrimental to Hiori's character development and ever-brewing ego. Maybe Hiori can undeniably prove his worth, meanwhile Isagi fails somehow, leading to him riding the bench to the first half of the PXG match just as he did against Barca. Not only would this give him crucial time to observe the game from an outside perspective, it would also split the matchup for the author into two different character chambers. The first half of the match could work on showing Kunigami vs Shido, Tokimitsu vs Raichi, and other duels like that, as the second half would be saved for the main show. With Isagi Yoichi being subbed in for whatever possible reason, he and Kaiser would then face off against Loki, Rin, and Shido, in what would be one of the most anticipated matches in all of Blue Lock. Overall, this theory may not be super likely to happen, but dear god is it super creative and fun to think about. Overall, with the match finally coming to its final point, I can confidently say that we're so close to the PXG match, boys. Make sure to let me know down in the comments what you agree or don't agree with from this video, because it really is your input that allows me to continue what I'm doing. If you all enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, please be sure to check out that you're subscribed to the channel, or even join the community Discord if that interests you. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and please have an amazing day.